This morning I want to share with you really three items. The first is how we, the trustees, prioritize our projects. The second is three conditions that we found within the church that we've identified that really need our attention. And the third is our plan of action, what we really think that we need to do in order to take care of those conditions. With that, let me share just how we take and look at those projects and those priorities. The first thing is we really are looking at personal safety. What kind of issues do we have at Grace Church that really require our consideration for personal safety? Are there slip and fall hazards, as an example? Are there some potentials for maybe some kind of fire issue or problem? So those are first and foremost in our minds. The second is looking at repairs that, if left undone, will be more expensive, significantly more expensive for us to take care of in the future. And the third element is physical barriers, things that might limit individuals from accessing the building that we have here today and that we enjoy so much. And in many ways we're blessed because we're all on one level. That certainly helps. But I would suggest to you that even the smallest change in height of floor coverings, as an example, can be a barrier for many. As you might anticipate, with a building this large and a building that's been that we've enjoyed for so many years, our list of things that need to be done continues to grow. We're always adding something to that to-do list. It looks very familiar to one that I know on a personal level at my own home. I'm sure that many of you have the same issues and concerns. And ultimately, we have to prioritize those particular projects. Which ones are the most important for us to go forward with? So for the trustees, three projects have really risen to the top of our list as being critically important and that fall within those three categories that I just shared with you about prioritizing projects. The first is eliminating some of the slip and trip fall hazards that are around the church. In particular, we have a lot of solid surfaces like the ones we see right here in the sanctuary. When you add water or snow or mud or other materials on that surface, they become very slippery, greater potential for someone to fall. And the other element of that are flooring transitions, as I was sharing. When you go from a hard surface to carpeting, and even with the trim pieces that we have around the carpeting, those become barriers and slip and fall hazards as well. The second area or concern project that we have is with our entrance doors. Our entrance doors, most of us use the north doors. Those doors are very heavy, and contributing to our problem is when the north winds blow, those doors become even more of a hazard. And for some individuals to navigate through and around those doors becomes very, very difficult. And the third area, or the third project that we saw that was really critical, is our current restrooms that we have. As many of you may know, they're not handicap accessible or very limited handicap accessibility. And they certainly do not meet the ADA compliance today. Ultimately, if someone needs some personal assistance with those and utilizing that space, there's not enough room for them to be able to assist someone in the restrooms as well. So what is our plan of action? Our plan of action, and the trustees have recommended that plan of action both to the Church Council and the Finance Committee. Both of those committees concur with our recommendation and have asked that we move forward. Is number one, that we install some commercial-grade carpeting. And I think many of you have received the report from the trustees that you have in your hand now. And basically, the colored areas, the areas that we're suggesting that we put that carpeting in. Some of that area currently is carpeted. I couldn't tell you the specific date that some of that carpeting was placed in, but I know it predates me. And I've been here for a couple of years at least. So that would eliminate a lot of the uneven surfaces throughout that area that is most used by most of our members, both on Sundays and other times during the week. The second is that we refit the entry doors with special closers that would help access for those that are handicapped and may have struggles with those doors and prevent them from opening or closing when we really don't want them to be opening and closing. And the third is we want to install a new family bath. You might wonder, well, why is that family bath way on the south side by the nursery bathroom? And the reason for that is that we've looked at the costs and the expenses of retrofitting one of the other bathroom locations. And really two issues. We have to move walls, which would be extremely expensive. And in addition to that, the space isn't large enough. And once we play with the space, then it all has to be ADA compliant. So the best option is really to create a new bathroom, a brand new bathroom that would be accessible for handicap accessible, family bath, and ADA compliant. So, the big news is that it is a big project. The total costs, including a contingent cushion to make sure that we're able to get the project done, is $61,731. And while we have some capacity of funds for these projects through other means within our budgets and for some of the special funds that we've set aside, perhaps as much as even 20%, there's certainly a need for us to hold some of that money in reserve for some unforeseen needs that might come up in the future. We're always running into something that needs our immediate attention, so we don't want to be in a position where we're totally depleted. So we're asking for your help this morning. We're asking for your help in the way of a pledge or an immediate cash donation to cover the costs of these three projects. We would like to move forward on these projects at the very latest so that we might be able to enjoy these starting this fall and that we have them in place before we have the next snowfall and all the slip and fall. I'd ask you to pray about the needs that we have for this church, and I would hope that you would open your hearts and your pocketbooks to these very needy projects. Thank you in advance